Page 5.
On Planet Peach, Lien and Codeine take a liking to one another after working together to stop a giant planet-destroying energy ball from hitting Planet Peach. The energy ball was accidentally fired at Planet Peach by Gekkatto, one of the remaining members of the nearly extinct Samurai race. On planet Earth, a mysterious and very peculiar virus was making itself known to humanity. People dubbed it the blood flu. This virus was so contagious that it caused a global pandemic within days, infecting everyone in cities, states, and even entire countries such as Canada, Italy, France, Australia, and Brazil. Prevention of the blood flu virus only required everybody to wash their hands, of course, and be within at least 50 miles away from others that have contracted the very strange illness, because if a person was even in the same city as a single blood flu patient, then that person would eventually become infected along with everyone else in town, no matter how vast the distances between them and that one infectee. Many have tried to leave town as soon as someone in their city caught the blood flu, but it was no use because the very contagious virus would spread extraordinarily fast not only to people but to nearby objects as well. If a blood flu patient sneezed on a road, and a car drove by getting the germs on its tires, then the virus would rapidly spread from the wheels to anyone inside the vehicle, and the infected people would take the virus to wherever they traveled and pass it along to other objects and people. Symptoms of the blood flu virus consisted of cough, runny nose, high fevers, headache, muscle weakness, nausea, and sometimes hallucination, but the most notable symptoms of the virus are coughing up blood and having blood in the mucus. Much to scientists' shock, this virus was capable of turning itself invisible inside its host system sometimes, so testing people for the virus was useless. Fortunately, the blood flu wasn't known to be fatal, and it lasted for 5 to 7 days, but this was only the beginning. Currently, Bulma was driving home from work after another long day of examining the well-intact remains of Pina Colada. It was late at night, around 11 p.m., and the female scientist was driving on a bridge, which seemed to have no ending as the further she drove, the longer it became. Bulma frowned. "I don't remember this bridge being so long." She sighed, and reached into her pocket to pull out a pack of cigarettes while still keeping her eyes on the long road as she slipped out one cigarette and placed it in between her lips. Perhaps a good smoke would kill time while she waited to reach the end of the bridge. Still keeping her eyes on the road and one hand on the steering wheel, the female scientist reached into her glove compartment and pulled out a green cigarette lighter. She was about to set fire to her cigarette, but she stopped when a very foul stench entered her nostrils. Dropping her cigarette lighter, Bulma quickly covered her nose as the odor was too unbearable, smelling like a dead animal, and it was coming from beside her. As soon as the female scientist turned her head, she instinctively screamed in overwhelming horror when she saw the rotten corpse of Pina Colada sitting right next to her in the passenger seat. Greatly startled, Bulma lost control of her car, swerving it off the bridge. She proceeded to scream as her car went flying into a body of water. Bulma quickly woke up in her bed with a frightened gasp. It was only a really bad dream. She never did have another long day at work because she had only examined Pina Colada body once, which was yesterday. Bulma winced at the pounding pain in her head. "Oh, my head," she thought as she tried to relax in her bed. After her heart rate went back to normal, the female scientist grabbed her phone off of the nightstand, and she could barely lift the cellular device, let alone hold it, because for some reason she didn't have the strength to do it. She looked at the time and saw that it was 1:32 p.m. She never slept this late. Bulma got out of her bed and felt too weak to stand, but that wasn't the only unusual feeling she experienced. In addition to her head hurting and body lacking its usual strength, she also felt very sick to her stomach, so she rushed to the bathroom. Inside the bathroom, Bulma opened the lid to the toilet to vomit, but instead, she sneezed, and when she did, her nose started running badly. She grabbed some toilet paper and blew her nose. When she looked at the toilet tissue, she saw streaks of blood in her mucus while her nose was burning and clogging up, and she felt like she was coming down with a cold. Bulma then coughed, which made thick copper-tasting fluid come up her throat and into her mouth. She spat into the bathroom sink, and out came her own blood, staining the solid white china with a tiny puddle of crimson red. She became very worried, believing that something was seriously wrong with her, especially since she was feeling very ill, and felt like she was getting sicker by the second. She was nauseous, her head was hurting, she had a cold, she felt very weak, and she was even feeling feverish. Hours later, over 800 blood flu cases emerged in the city. It only took under 2 days for everyone in town to catch the blood flu, making Bulma feel bad. Back on Planet Peach, Toba is struggling to find a lover while his son Akko is playing with his sisters and brothers. Elsewhere on Planet Peach, Lien and Codeine are hanging out and bonding. Lien throws a temper tantrum, and Codeine suggests that they spar to blow off steam. "Whatever you say, nature girl," he flatly responded, not taking their upcoming battle serious at all until the pink female Haiyan moved forward like a missile and elbowed him in the face so hard that she ended up giving him double vision as she was trying to get it over with. Lien threw a punch at her out of anger, but Codeine dodged by quickly jumping over his fist and running forward in midair with a series of very fast kicks to his face as if she was using his head like a soccer ball, and before the red Haiyan knew it, she landed on the ground and started repeatedly thrusting her curled-fingered palms at him as fast as lightning while Lien constantly evaded her in a blur. Eventually, Lien threw another punch at her face, but she also dodged that by turning her head and striking him with one of her long head tails, which swung forward and hit him right in the face so hard that it left a large bruise on his cheek and almost broke his jaw. Lien was shocked because he never thought of fighting with his own head tails as the pink female Haiyan started repeatedly smacking him backwards with each head tail, which was knocking him silly since they had bones in them like the rest of a Haiyan's limbs. Suddenly, Codeine delivered a powerful cheerleader kick, sending the red Haiyan smashing through nearby trees as he went flying over 500 yards away with speed that far surpassed warp speed. Lien couldn't believe how fast and skilled she was. He always thought of her as very soft and weak, but he truly underestimated her. The pink female Haiyan was stronger than any of his lovers, and even almost as strong as him. Soon, Codeine quickly caught up to the red male Haiyan in a swirling motion as she tried to punch him twice, but the red male Haiyan quickly caught both of her fists in the swiftest way possible. If he didn't stop going easy on her soon, she would end up defeating him because she had tricks up her sleeve. Lien watched in shock as the pink female Haiyan's eyes began to light up red before she fired 2 eye beams, but he quickly propelled her into the sky, causing her attack to miss him, and hit the ground in front of him with a small explosion. Codeine fired 2 more eye beams down at Lien, but he dodged them by vanishing out of sight and reappearing behind Codeine, facing away from her, and she didn't even notice him. Turning in slow motion, Lien backhanded her right out of the sky, hitting her so hard that she felt like every single bone in her body was broken from that one blow as he charged after her flying body. However, Codeine ended up quickly recovering before her body could hit the ground, and she then gathered Ki into both hands to blast the red Haiyan, but he was suddenly nowhere to be seen until he tapped her on the shoulder. When Codeine turned around, she saw Lien, who punched her square in the face, sending her staggering 9 yards back. Lien caught up to the pink female Haiyan and kicked her far away. The red Haiyan caught up to her again with startling speed, but this time, Codeine dodged his attack by teleporting into the sky while Lien quickly did the same, and Falcon punched her back down. The red Haiyan then pummeled her all the way to the ground with very fast and powerful punches while he yelled, letting all his anger out before he crashed her, causing a huge explosion. Lien quickly flew back up to prevent from being caught in the crossfires of the explosion. When the smoke cleared, the pink female Haiyan was seen lying in a large crater with a black eye and bruises all over her body as she groaned in slight pain. She really hoped her solution to curing his anger actually worked because if it didn't, the red Haiyan would probably kill her out of rage for leading him to believe that such an idea would fix his problem. Codeine stumbled to her feet while Lien landed in front of her with a slight frown on his face because he didn't know what to say, but his facial expression caused the pink female Haiyan to expect bad news followed by the worst temper flare-up. "Well," she nervously said with curiosity, "did the fight work? Are you still mad?" Lien finally found the right words to say. "You really want to know how I feel right now?" he answered in a low and dark voice before lunging at her. Heart-pounding terror exploded through Codeine as she flinched and swore that she was going to die, but instead of killing her, the angry red Haiyan embraced her tightly with a hug of gratitude. "Thank you," he gratefully and happily told her. Page over.